Okay, so what we have here is we have our letter holder orthographic projection. This is going to include a elevation and plan and an end view. So what I've set up here is I set up a horizontal line. I've measured down a distance of 100 millimeters from my border line to here. So draw on a horizontal line, and then I draw a vertical line on the left hand side here by measuring in a distance of 15 millimeters. So my next distance now that I'm going to measure is, put my 0 here on my ruler, and I'm going to measure over a distance, okay, of 90, I'm going to go with 100 millimeters, like that. So we're going to measure over 100. My next step now that I'm going to do after that is I'm now going to draw a vertical line. Make sure it's parallel to my first line. And I'm going to draw my line from the top down, and I'm going to extend down past my baseline, which is called my X, Y line. Once I've that done, my next step now that I'm going to do is I'm going to measure up a distance, okay, of 70 millimeters. So I'm going to measure from here up to here, 70. And I do the same on the other side. Measure up from 10 to 17. So that's 70 millimeters, and I'm going to draw a horizontal line. While I draw this horizontal line, I'm going to extend then to the right hand side. That will help me to find the height of my end view. So my next step now, what I'm going to do is I'm now going to draw my plan. So my plan, I'm coming down a distance of 15 millimeters. So from my baseline, which is here, my XY line, I'm coming down 15 millimeters. So this is 10. Okay, so I'm coming down to 9, and then I'm coming down to 5. Okay, so in total we have 15. So that's 85. From 100 to 85. I can do the exact same on the left hand side. Put my XY in line with 10, and then measure down to 8.5, which is 85, and I can draw my horizontal line here. So once I've that done, I'm now going to measure down a distance, which is the width of my view. So my letter holder is going to be in total, okay, an overall width of 45 millimeters. Just going to measure 45, and I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side. So I'm going to get my ruler, put 0 here, and I'm going to measure down 45. So make sure your 0 is lining up with this line, with 45 there. Join up the 2 points, like that. So this is the outline for my elevation. This is the outline for my plan view. My next step, now what I'm going to do is I'm now going to draw my end view. So the outline, in order to find that outline, if we came down 15 from here to here, we now need to come over 15 from here to here. So this is where my view starts. And then I measure out 15 again from here. And I draw my line nice and lightly, up and down. And I'm now just going to join this line from here to here, and that is my 45-degree line. So now my next step, what I'd like to do is I would now like to find this width, which is here between my two fingers, up here. And so in order to find that, I'm now going to draw a parallel line at 45 degrees, which is the same as this line, from this point. So take your time, try to get a nice parallel line, make sure it looks accurate, and when you're happy, proceed to draw your line, nice and lightly. My next step is I'm now just going to take my line straight up, so a vertical line. Like that. So that's the outline of my end view. So let's start drawing our elevation now. So in order to hold our letters, we're going to have a front piece and we're going to have a back piece. The back piece is going to be curved, the front piece is going to be straight. So the front piece is lower down, so we're just going to, with our rulers, put 0 on the baseline, which is our XY line, and we're now just going to measure up a distance of 30 millimeters. So we're going to mark it off here, and we're now just going to put 10 here, and I'm going to measure up 30, so that's 100 millimeters, that's 130, and now we can join those 2 points like that. Now for the back piece, that's going to be curved. So in order to achieve a curve, the first thing what we'll do is we'll find halfway. So the distance from here to here is 100 millimeters, half 100 is 50, so we're just going to mark off 50, which is there. My next step now, what I'm going to do is I'm now going to measure down a distance of 10 millimeters on the right, which is there. So I'm just coming down 10 millimeters like that, from this corner down. And I'm now going to measure over 10 millimeters down on the left hand side. So now I'm after marking out my points, my 3 points. My next step is to draw a freehand curve. And in order to draw my freehand curve, we're going to start at the very middle and we're going to go to the right. So practice it 2 or 3 times before you actually drop your pencil. Drop your pencil nice and lightly, and then we'll go over it heavy. Okay, so that's the right hand curve. Now once I've that done, I'm going to twist my page just to make it easier for myself. So twist your page nicely like that. Again, practice your curve. Practice drawing your curve before you draw it. Make sure it's the same as the other one. And drop your pencil nice and lightly. Then we'll draw it heavy. Okay. So that's my freehand curve completed. Now what we can do is we can go around all our edges heavy, just with a ruler. And again, we're pressing our pencil down just that bit harder. That's my elevation completed. My next step now is to move on to my plan view. Okay, so we're now going to focus on the plan, and I'm going to zoom in on the plan view here now so we can just look at it a bit closer. Okay, so for my plan view, we're going to go with the thickness of the material on the front and the back. And that thickness we're going to go with, just so it looks in proportion, let's go with 7 millimeters. So from here to here is 5, 6, 7. Okay, so jump 5 and then 2 small little steps after that. So that's 7 mil in front, and we'll do 7 mil sorry, 7 mil at the back. Let's do 7 mil at the front. So 7 millimeters is from 6 up to 65, 66, 67. Make sure your pencil is nice and sharp so that you can actually locate that point. So we have 2 points marked on the right. Let's do the exact same thing on the left. So I'm just going to push my ruler over to the left, and I'm going to zoom in now on this just so you can see it a bit closer again. Okay, so there we are. So from the back line, jump down 5, which is here, then 6, then 7. That's 7 millimeters, which is there. And again, we're going to do it from here. So this is 55 at the moment. Count up 5, that's 60, 66 and 67. So now what I have is I have 4 points or 4 markings on my plan. Let's now join them up. So draw that line nice and heavy, and we'll do the same at the front. And we can now make this line heavy and the back line heavy. So when I look down from the top, that's my front piece and my back piece completed. The 2 pieces will be made of the exact same type of material. So that's why they look the exact same width. So what we're going to do now is we're now going to focus on our joints. So we have our side material here, where our joints are going to be completed. So in total, let's measure in a distance, okay, of 10 millimeters. Okay, yeah, 10 millimeters. Okay, so from 1 back to 0, we'll just mark that, and again on the other side we'll start at 0 and we'll come over to 1, which is 1 centimeter, the exact same as 10 millimeters. So once I've that done, I'm now going to draw a vertical line, which is here. So you can see there I'm slightly adjusting it left and right just to get it completely vertical. I'm lining up with this one. Take your time to draw it, and when you're happy, proceed. So that's my vertical line. Okay, again here, when I put my ruler here, it's quite hard to see if it's vertical or not, so I might just maybe move my ruler and put it around the other side like this. That way I can eye up, okay, this line on the right. So put your ruler on your marking. Take your time before you draw it. When you're happy, draw your line. And we'll now make this line heavy from here to here. And we'll make the far left line heavy also. So when I zoom out, what I've got there is I've got my elevation and my plan completed. So what I'm now going to do is I'm now going to try and bring up the width of my front piece here and my back piece up to my end view. So in order to do that, again, I'm just going to use my 45-degree lines. So put my ruler like this at this point, which is here. Try and get my edge of my ruler parallel to this line. Take your time, don't rush it, get it parallel, and draw that lightly up to my end view. So that's that line completed, and we're going to do the exact same for here. So again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my ruler, I'm going to put it on this side of the line, just so I can see this line. So line it up here. And draw your line. So take your time, make sure they're parallel. Okay, use your eye. And now what I'm going to do is I'm now going to focus in on my end view. So I brought up the thickness of the back piece and the thickness of the front piece by these 2 lines. So we'll zoom in on our end view. So just looking at my end view, what I'm now going to do is I'm now going to take up my back piece and I'm now going to take up my front piece with two vertical lines. So I'm going to put my pencil here. Take your time when you're drawing this line and extend your line up nice and lightly. Put my pencil here, extend our line up. So when we extend our line up, just take it nice and slow, get your line vertical. Here we go. So for my end view, I'm going to just put my ruler on this line, lining up okay with my elevation, which is here. And I'm now going to extend this height from my elevation straight across to my end view like that. And that will mark the height of my front piece, which is here. So I can make that line heavy. That line and that line. And the baseline can also be made heavy. Once I have that completed, my next step is to now put my ruler at this point, which is here on my elevation, because that marks where the curve ends. And I'm now going to extend a line from here straight across nice and lightly, and we can make that line heavy. This line heavy, and then this line, and the top. So that's my front piece and my back piece. My next step now is to now put in my wood where my joints are going to be. So in doing that, we're just going to measure down a distance of 10 millimeters from here to here, like that. Just mark out a small little tick, and I'll zoom in. So measure down 10, so 180 down to 170. Or even 130 down to 120. That's 10 millimeters, and we're going to join it from here to here like that. Once I've that done, I'm now going to take this point from here straight across to my elevation. So we get our ruler. We place it down, line it up with this point, which is here. Take your time in drawing this line. In order to help you to draw this line, what you could do is you could line the left hand side of the ruler, which is your vertical edge, up with your vertical lines that you've just drawn, while also matching up with this point. So I don't need any T-square here, I'm just using one set square, and I'm using the 90-degree edges on the set square. So very simply, catch your pencil, pull that line straight across nice and lightly. We can stop it, and we can extend our ruler and continue. So that line is very important, that light line that I just drew. So the reason why we drew this line across is to find the height of our two side pieces, which are going to be here and here. And I'm now going to find those by extending this line, which I have here, straight up. Now we do know that this distance is 10 millimeters, so we can, if we want, come over a distance of 10, like this, mark it on that line, and join that point up to this line. and this now will be a heavy line from here to here. We can draw this line heavy also, like that. So once we've done that on the right, let's do that on the left. So we now put our 0 here, and we mark 10 millimeters, and we then join this line up with this point, like that. So my next step is to now draw the bottom piece of wood, and this will be seen on my end view. So I'm going to come up a distance of 10 millimeters, which is here, like that. So we're going to go from 160 to 170. Okay, I'll zoom in on that for you. So again, up 10 millimeters, and I'm now going to draw a horizontal line. So put your ruler like that. Eye up your baseline. Make sure your ruler is straight with it, and draw your line. So now what we're going to do is we're now going to put in our joint. So the joint that we're going to use here is a finger joint. So what we're going to do here, very simply, is we're simply just going to find the middle of the joint. So this is roughly what, 20 should be kind of 30 wide. So just mark 15, which is here, like that. That's the halfway. Put a dot just on that point. And we're now going to measure 5 to the left and 5 to the right, like that. Once we've that done, we're going to draw a vertical line straight down, like that. That's heavy, and then this line is heavy. So I made a mistake when I was drawing this line across. I should have drew it lightly. The reason why I should have drawn it lightly is because I need to now rub this out, but that's okay. That looks fine there. Okay. So whenever we're drawing an orthographic drawing, you also need to include hidden detail. And the hidden detail reveals any components that you can see when you're looking at the elevation, or even when you're looking at the plan. So in order to draw the base piece of this letter holder, we're simply just going to extend this line across like this. Now I'm going to put the ruler on top because it allows me to see this line. It's closer to the edge and allows me to get a better viewing and a more accurate line. So we're now going to draw this line, but when we're drawing this line, it's very important to draw it lightly. So I'm barely pressing my pencil. You can see the way I'm holding my pencil from the back. That's a nice light line. Our next step now, what we need to do is we now need to connect our plan and our elevation, like I'm just after doing here. And we're going to draw a light line going down like that. And the exact same over on the left hand side. Okay, so nice and slowly. Line this point up with this point up here, and there's your light lines. When we draw those lines will help us to find our hidden detail lines. So we can now draw a broken line from here to here. Like that. So that's showing the inside pieces, which will go all the ways down and all the ways down. And now what we'll do is we'll now draw our line across. Again, broken. Like that. Our next step now, what we're going to do, we're nearly finished this drawing now, is we want to show our joints. So we can see our finger joint here, no problem, but we need to also see it in plan. So in order to see it in plan, we're going to bring this point down the way instead, and this point also down. Okay, so we're going to get our ruler, draw a parallel line down like this, and again from this point draw a parallel line down like this, so we're bringing those two lines back. Just going to do a tiny little arrow there, tiny little arrow up here, and once we've that done, I'm now going to zoom in on my plan view. So I'm now going to take this line straight across all the way, and this line straight across all the way, and by doing that it will help me to locate the hidden detail in plan for my finger joint. So again, I'm just lining up the left hand of the ruler, okay, that right angle, that 90-degree angle with that vertical line, while also lining up with this line, and I'm going to draw my line across nice and lightly. I'm going to bring my line down, do the same thing again. Take that across, and we can extend those lines. So those lines that are drawn over lightly, we can now draw a broken line here, a broken line here, and the exact same on the left hand side. Our last step is to now label our views, and that's this drawing completed. So in order to do that, if I zoom in here, at the start we came down 15 millimeters, and the reason why we came down 15 millimeters is because that will give us 3 5s. So if I just get my ruler and I put it here, just on the left hand side, I've got 5, 5 and 5. So just going to mark 2 little ticks there, 1 5, our second 5, and our remaining 5. Our next step is we're now going to do the exact same thing on the right hand side. Come over, up 5, small little tick, and again up 5, like that. So I'm now going to get my ruler, zoom out first, join up those 2 points, so join up this point and this point, and I'm going to draw a line very, very, very lightly. So hold the back of your pencil, and we're just going to draw that line lightly. Again, line up my other 2 points at the bottom. We're going to draw another line going across, and we now have our labelling lines for our elevation and for our end view. So just before I draw write my end view in, I'm just going to just rub out them lines because they seem to be in the way. That's perfect. And let's write our elevation. So that's my 2 labellings completed, elevation and end view. We're going to do the exact same thing now for our plan view. So in order to do that, I'll zoom in. So we're just going to come down 5 and 5. So just get a ruler, put it to the left hand side, come down 5 millimeters and another 5, mark 2 little dots. Do the exact same thing on the right hand side, come down 5 and come down 5. So 2 light lines, and we'll now label it. Plan view. And I'll zoom out. So in future, if you're ever designing any project, you will always need to complete an orthographic projection of that project, whatever it is. Thank you for watching, and best of luck.